Go.
Here
I
we
hear
go
the music.
now. It's the public domain. Music now. We're rocking out now. It's a Mayday Terror show.
Here we go.
Here we are. Hey. It is Dublin and Devlin, the Terror show. May the 1st. Hi vey, it's May. It's gonna be May. Hey, what's up? Hey,
Where's everybody?
guess what we're celebrating? We're
I see Jim.
celebrating. We are celebrating today, May Day, because we woke to the glorious news that they finally installed the revolving door at the Trump White House, and Mike Waltz is out. And not just him. There's going to be more.
I hope so.
So
I hope
the
so.
Department of Defense is going to be shredding like COVID. They're going to be shedding like COVID. Everyone apparently except Pete Hegseth is going to be going. Mike Waltz is first. Hey, Duke.
Oh,
Here's
hi.
Duke.
Hi, Duke.
Duke wants
He
to say
looks like
hi.
Francis.
I mean, it's Tabby Fam. How is Francis doing, by the way?
He's okay.
Are the things moving?
Not as regularly as I want him to be moving, but he's on meds and all kinds of constipation.
Fellow cat parents in the chat, please send good pooping vibes to Francis.
Yes,
because Francis
regular.
needs to keep the mail moving. You know, it's a little Pony Express, but what we need is some overnight. We need overnight express. Is what
he needs once a day.
Come on,
once a day. Yeah.
We're pulling for you, Francis. We absolutely are. Speaking of a lot of shit, anyway, Mike Waltz though. Let's get back to that. Mike Waltz is gone, daddy gone, and that's if you're gonna be the fall guy.
Yeah.
Where do you think what would you do? Like, you're the first one. You have the distinction of being like the first big one fired from Trump 2.0. You can't be happy about it, right? Because you're the scapegoat, right? You're taking you're carrying the mantle for them all. You're going to take the blame.
Because this time around, the reason we haven't seen anyone go as fast as it happened the first maladministration is because they're trying to hold on for dear life. Because he apparently, Trump was kind of embarrassed about the revolving door, and they were just gonna dig in their heels and keep everybody come what may. So I hope that this is the first of many. He'll grease the wheels.
I mean, it is, and in those moments where we still can like squeeze some joy out of things. He has lasted something like 9.1 Scaramucci's, as tweeted by Anthony Scaramucci.
That's awesome.
Thanks, Mooch. Thank you so much, Mooch, for keeping it real. He's not a successful businessman, and he can't keep employees.
No.
That's his history.
Right.
And the turnover at his companies has always, like his regular companies, has always been. There's always usually he always keeps there's always one guy who's super close who stays there the whole time, like an Alan Weisselberg.
That's it. That's all he had.
But the loyalists are they're going to continue to claim loyalty and fealty and fecklessness and all of that. But Mike Waltz being cut loose, that's an interesting thing at this moment because he has choices. He has choices as they are bringing impeachment, new articles of impeachment against Trump. So I'm Mike Waltz, and I'm now globally embarrassed thanks to Donald Trump. You have choice. Do you want to pretend I was just there to get them started? I was there to help them build the infrastructure. I was just there to lay the ground. I wasn't really there for the long haul. I was always going to just be kind of... Is he going to do that sort of shit where they try to save face? Or is he going to be like, fuck that guy. Let me tell you everything you need to know about him.
Right.
I don't think he's going to do that. Well, none of them are take one for the team kind of guys. But
it's not like General Milley.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Do you think that Waltz would be petty enough to bring anyone else down?
Well, you know what I think?
A different way to stay a loyalist.
Yeah. Well, I because this time he has surrounded himself completely with loyalists and none of the actual, Mad Dog Mattis, who he only hired because he had a nickname that he liked, but these were people who knew what they were doing, and now we hear the stories how they were hoping to mitigate the damage that Trump would do and guide him. But this time, as we know, he's surrounded by loyalists. But mark my words, you know what's going to happen. And I say it all the time. One day, those who cheered Trump will speak of it in shamed whispers, right? And we will get to that point. But what's going to happen is they're all going to eventually come to the media or wherever they will go and plead their mea culpa. I really wasn't in it for, I was doing this to help my country. I thought, because it's going to be such a disaster. Whether he does this now will depend on a few factors, I believe, and that is how we'll get to know when we hear how Trump talks about him. Right. If he's like, oh, he's a great guy, I wish him well, or if he was a disaster, stupid, as everyone who ever left him, is suddenly the worst moron that ever existed. Right. It's I hate this guy.
Mike Waltz is a giant disappointment. Many people said he wasn't up to the task. Whatever. He may do that if he gets any further embarrassed. Or Mike Waltz could become like Michael Cohen, where he, creates a redemption arc for himself and said, I crimed, but then I saw the light. You don't know. You would hope that somebody would be like, all right, well, I didn't think the leopards would eat my face. Yeah. But now that my face has been eaten, I would like to be able to save it a little bit. And that's, that's a choice. And it'll be interesting to see the subsequent spin, because they never tell the truth about anything, and they'll never tell you exactly why something happened, because,
and how this is Biden's fault. Right.
Oh, well, the stock market is Biden's fault. This is Biden's stock market because it's failing. It's
so
people
funny.
Are putting up side by side. I know. As you put up the side by sides of Donald Trump claiming responsibility for success and then blaming Biden for the failure. It's just like
incredible.
It's so painfully obvious. And this also leads me to a glory moment that we witnessed this week that we need to see happen more often, and that is a reporter pushed back. A reporter pushed back against Donald Trump when he lied. And what we saw was like the clip of Terry Moran interviewing Donald Trump is one of those classic, like, if you could teach this to future journalism students on how to conduct an interview with someone who is a sundowning moron. So and first of all, Donald Trump likes to try to use his physicality to intimidate. So you see him leaning, right? He's bigger. He's all corpulent and uncomfortable and puffy. And you can tell he's uncomfortable because he's like got his truss on here and his diaper there. And he doesn't sit comfortably. He's physically uncomfortable. And so he's angry and he's cranky and he doesn't sleep and he doesn't eat healthy and he's full of Adderall. So all of it is bad. And there's Terry Moran like, hey, why did you say this guy was a criminal when he's not? And are you going to do anything to bring him back? And he's like, he had MS-13 on his knuckles. And
incredible.
Terry Moran's like, no, actually, that was Photoshop. He goes, what? And you can see Donald Trump in real time, astonished that anyone is challenging him.
But exactly, but right? He doesn't believe it. He believes his own stupid eyes.
He doesn't believe it.
Which is incredible.
Right.
And he says to Terry Moran, why can't you just believe me? Why can't you just say yes? Like the rest of the lick spittles.
Is that not? But see, thank you, Terry Moran, because Terry Moran got a truthful statement out of that fuck mouth, which is, why won't you just let me lie? Right. When you're famous, they'll let you get away with it. When you're a celebrity, they let you get away with anything. And that is what the media has done. They have let Donald Trump get away with absolutely everything. Everything, while never giving Joe Biden his due.
Oh, please.
And the moment Terry Moran should be studied by anybody. Now, I doubt he's going to be giving an interview to anybody who isn't fully sympathetic for quite some time after this. Because he blames the questioner. Like we have talked about this so extensively. Like it's almost like Terry Moran was like, he read my tweets and then went there and did it. I know that's not what happened, but might as well have been, because it was another one of those situations where Donald Trump shows us exactly who he is. And a lot of times people just let it go, but Terry Moran did not. He was like, no, it was Photoshop. No, really, you're wrong. Like, and later he was like, did you see the clip where Donald Trump is explaining what the Declaration of Independence is?
I have it if we want to play it.
Please put that up for everyone in the chat who hasn't seen it. What does the Declaration of Independence mean?
It's such an embarrassment.
Pretty basic. And like a 5-year-old can answer
what do maggots say? Or when they look at this, if this were Joe Biden, that's all I ever do is, as I play the game, just put any other Democrat in that freak's place. And it's so embarrassing. It's such a disgrace. I know it's one of Trump's favorite words, but I'm like, come on, this is true. The president.
Any side by side. I mean, the ultimate side by side is the one from the Pope's funeral.
Yeah,
because
Sleepy Joe. Wait,
okay, this. Yeah, please share. This is so ridiculous.
Of course, you have the
poor Terry Moran.
Declaration of Independence.
What does it mean to you?
What does it mean to you?
Well, it means exactly what it says. It's a declaration. It's a declaration of unity and love.
Oh, God damn
respect, you. And it
really
means a lot. And it's something very special to
It's very special.
To our country.
Lincoln's like nobody's ever seen.
Wait, no,
wait. It's a declaration.
Lincoln's portrait up there near your mugshot and the ostentatious bullshit that you put up there from Hobby Lobby to make it look more like it's Putin's office. And then look at his face.
I know.
Insta meme
I love it.
He's like,
I love it.
It could be many things. First, Terry Moran is like, what the fuck are you saying?
It's like disgust in his face.
Also seems to be like, did you just shit your pants? I think you probably just shit your pants. What do I smell?
Right.
That's it. I smell something foul. Meme it.
What do maggots say about this? They excuse this? I'm sure they won't play this on Fox News, of course. Mm-hmm.
They, as well as I do, they excuse everything. And you can look at my Twitter today. There are still people who want to say that what Elon Musk did was not a Nazi salute. He was just giving love from his heart.
Oh my!
Twice,
really,
like that. And there's, if you follow Claude Taylor, who is True Facts Stated on Twitter, who's great, he was beefing with this idiot. And this idiot is like, no, he wasn't doing that. And I'm like, well, this Jew knows what a Nazi salute looks like. And here you go. And he's like, well, that's not real. And I'm like, fuck you. Here it is on PBS.
Well,
here it is on the.
What
do
about
you
this?
understand that? What about this one? Pretty real.
Side by side with actual Nazis.
Side by side. Side by side with actual Nazis. That's a Nazi salute. This Jew knows exactly what a Nazi salute looks
incredible.
Like. Thank you so much. So this fucko with a blue check, of course, because anybody can buy a blue check. His name is Jeff. You can look at it on my Twitter right now.
It's on your Twitter?
Was like, no, it's on my Twitter. I mean, and so he's like, he goes, that's not a Nazi salute and you're wrong. I'm not wrong. I am not wrong. And you do it a couple of times and then they just block me. Because I'm right. Because I'm right. And that is exactly what MAGA does. You show them the facts and either they tell you it's fake or they just block you so they don't have to respond. So I made a tweet that was like, started going, Nazis hate it when you prove to them that they're Nazis version. Because it's like, you can't tell me that it's not a Nazi salute, and then I show you it's a Nazi salute, and then you're like, well, I don't like this, so I'm blocking you.
Well, but that's
I'm sorry that you hate the truth. So sorry.
Who's the guy from England? I can't remember his name. James O'Brien, he's got a great show. I watch it all the time, but his name is escaping me. But he said, if you don't think that's a Nazi salute, go do it at your local school board meeting. Yeah, do it at work. Do it in front of your boss.
Go do it. Go do it at the supermarket.
Yeah.
See what happens. See how people respond.
My heart goes out to you, and do it. See what happens.
I mean, when someone says my heart goes out to you, there's not a globally accepted physical gesture that goes along with that.
No.
You can put your hand on your heart. That's about where my heart goes out to you. You don't then remove your heart and send it off like that. You don't do that. You do not do that. That is not, and I didn't even do that because I was holding, it doesn't matter. I'm not doing it. But
don't do it. Don't do it. It's not,
This means I know what it looks like. Thank you so much. And any
Yes.
normal American citizen and any normal human being should know what it looks like, but they won't. And so, and also, like in the pursuit of this conversation, I was trolled by a couple of so fake accounts that they were like textbook, and I screenshot them and saved them because tomorrow for Political Voices Network, I'm going to write my primer on how to spot the trolls.
Oh, good.
To save everybody some time. That'll
I've
be
been
my
waiting for that.
weekend contribution. Thank you. It's just, it's and just like you, everybody, if you're not subscribed to the Political Voices Network Substack, today is the day to do it because Devlin went on a deep dive along with Senator Chris Murphy.
Yes,
and
thank you.
enumerated every single terrible thing that Trump has done. And instead of just like a deep dive, like, here's this. What does this mean? Here's a paragraph explaining what this means. Here's this shitty thing, and here's what it means.
Right.
And it is one of those that if you showed it to a MAGA person, they're like, well, I'm not reading all that.
They probably think it's
basically,
fake.
but-
Yeah, they'll just say
But you should,
Mhm.
But let me. You went there with Chris Murphy, and it's beautiful. It's a beautiful, and it obviously it took you.
It took
such
me
a
all
long time
day.
to put it together, and the effort, and that just tells you how much we care about our
I know.
democracy here. But at the same time, and it's just like here it is, all of the truth in one place for everyone. And a Democratic senator was on the floor. He made charts and he made this and that and the other thing. They're all on the floor and they're doing this good stuff. And Cory Booker did the bicameral sit-in on the Capitol steps and he did the filibuster. And then a whole bunch of them still voted to confirm. David Perdue is the Chinese ambassador. And so here's a question for you and for the kids in the chat. What are we supposed to infer when our Democratic leadership, like Chuck Schumer just sent a strongly worded letter, and Jeffries will be like, yeah, we'll just go sit here and talk about it. How do they, with one side of their mouths, say we must obstruct and fight, and this is wrong, and this is terrible, and everything they're doing is awful, and then the next day they vote to confirm any of the appointees? What are we supposed to impart from leadership when they are not sending a defining, unifying message?
That we need new leadership, frankly. And I guess that Chuck Schumer, he's not the man for the moment. And he doesn't know it. It's like when I don't want to think about the election, but Joe Biden did say that he was going to run for one term and step down. And if he had done that, we may not even be here. But okay, we don't know for sure. And I just feel like these old guard Democrats, they just, in a way, they're like the Republicans because they get addicted to power, and they should really be looking at the bigger picture. And when I was, and I'm talking about saving this democracy itself. And when I was writing this article yesterday, I kept thinking about how the Republicans, how much they have betrayed us, because any of these, there's 40 things on this list that we know of so far since the con man got shoved back into the Oval Office. And any of these things would have been a giant scandal. His cryptocurrency scam, the donations that come in, and suddenly Department of Justice drops charges or stops pursuing a case. It's
like the Eric Adams thing,
right? Eric Adams, the Tina Peters. Remember Tina Peters? Oh my
God.
She was convicted of tampering with voting machines. She's a real maggot, and the judge went after her, called her a grifter, that she's a disgrace. She's unpatriotic. She's not doing it. She didn't do anything, for her country. She harmed her country, and he shoved her ass in jail. And now the friggin' Department of Justice is reviewing the case, even though they have no authority to pardon her because it's a state case, thank God, right?
Of course.
And exactly, because he would have pardoned her, no doubt. No, and he would have put her in some kind of election integrity board or something like that. There's no doubt that's what he would have done. But for the Department of Justice to come in, to fly in like the friggin' flying monkeys and to review the case, they're saying that it was it was politically motivated, and she's being treated so unfairly. I mean,
that's a very Trumpy thing to say.
It's so disgusting.
Treated very unfairly.
Right.
Many people are saying this is very unfair. That's maybe they should be. What about there was a vote that U.S. Criminals can be found guilty, and instead of being put in jail in America, they can be deported to El Salvador.
Right.
That got voted on in committee yesterday, and it's. The way it was first presented, like Swalwell was out there going, they just decided that U.S. citizens can be deported, and I was like, they did what now? And so you have to get in there and be like, well, I mean, it's not okay, but the explanation is violent criminals, deemed violent U.S. criminals,
like
can
who?
be deported.
Jeffrey Dahmer? You know, I mean, who are you going to put in there?
I don't know, like an adjudicated rapist who raped E. Jean Carroll and also little girls. Someone like that should be deported. That's pretty violent to rape. I don't know. Do you think it's violent to slap a 12-year-old across the face because she gave you a bad blowjob? Because Donald Trump did that. That's part of those Epstein files that Pam Bondi just can't find. Oh, by the way, Pam Bondi says that, what was it, $258 million worth of fentanyl or something was found and got rid of or something. Like we've saved hundreds of millions of lives just in this month.
Oh,
like, of all of the things that didn't happen, that didn't happen the most. And also there's just like little weird things that Pam Bondi is doing aside from not her job. She should be impeached along with Trump because she's insane. But she is sitting there calling, and she doesn't call him Mr. Because I get it's president. She doesn't say president and his last name. She doesn't say Mr. and then president. It's like, because it's, I think, very similar to El Presidente. He doesn't want to be called Mr. and he doesn't want them using his last name. He just wants to be addressed
president.
Because like you see, and it's weird because if you think about the way we use our language, we say Senator so and so, Congressman so and so, but we don't say when we're addressing them. Right, you say, "Oh, Senator Murphy, thank you so much." You do say, "Oh, Vice President Harris, thank you so much." But you say, "Oh, but when you're talking, like if you were talking to Kamala Harris directly, you wouldn't say Vice President, you would say Madam Vice President. You would say Joe Biden, Mr. President, not President. What do you think about that? It sounds weird. Right?
She just calls him president if that's his name, like Donald.
The syntax is off. Yes, because he doesn't like being called Donald, as Mary Trump tells us over and over, and that's why she only refers to him as Donald. He doesn't like it because Donald, of course, was his, he just doesn't like that.
That's what he heard when his father was beating his ass. Donald, right?
Exactly, when he was being shamed by his mother. Donald, get away from me. But it's just like the semantics of it and the syntax. Somebody who's a language nerd, it just bugs me because it's grammatically wrong. It doesn't sound right.
Yeah. Why is she doing that?
She's a petulant. She's because she's a traitorous Barbie, and she's
it reminds me just for 1 second. President. She's just like no qualifier there, just president. He's president of Earth, right? But it reminds me of
now he wants to be the Pope. So
yes, right. And of course, Lindsey Graham is in there licking his ass. It's so goddamn disgrace, and he's another one that will not ever have a second or third act here. F him. F him.
What do you think the compromise is on Leningrad, Lindsey? Because I would say, short of murdering a child on film.
Yeah, I mean, everybody knows he's gay.
You murder a child.
Well, it's like, come out of the closet, Lindsey. Really, it's so embarrassing.
Nothing but closet.
Right.
It's like there's this old Robin Williams joke. His house is nothing but closets. So you can be like, I'm in, I'm out, I'm in, I'm out, I'm in, I'm out.
Imagine being him. What a pathetic life he has. That you're making everybody think you're straight. Oh, congratulations.
Oh, really?
Whatever.
In the South, when someone is a confirmed bachelor, it means we know what it means. It is fucking 2025. You want to be gay, be as gay as Pete Buttigieg has no problem being out and proud.
Exactly.
Lindsey, what's wrong with you?
That's why they hate them. Mm-hmm.
But that's what you have to really wonder about, because if it's okay for Democrats to live out and proud, and there are several LGBTQ members of Congress. We have Sarah McBride, and we have
and nobody cares.
Garcia, who is out. Pete Buttigieg is out. We don't care. They're doing their jobs and they're serving their constituents in the ways to the best of their ability. I want to know why it's not okay for Republicans to have that same freedom. And to that point, I want to know what could be so bad that you would continue to sell out your country. And that also goes to Marco Rubio. What'd you do? What did you do that's so bad?
Oh, God, yeah.
If you just need to come out, if it's just like regular coming out,
exactly.
You can come on over to the Democratic Party. We're like, come on over. We're happy to have you. But what could be so bad? So everyone is like, I asked again on Twitter. I was like, what the fuck is the compromise on you, dude? Like, what happened to you on that golf course? And everyone's like, he murdered a boy on film.
Something.
It has to be something. Because he's either raping a child or murdering a child on film. It has to be he is doing something to a child. It has to be someone underage, a non-consensual act with someone who is not of the age of consent. I can't think of anything else that would keep somebody that terrified and complacent and subservient to another person. Like,
I don't know.
I mean, everybody
especially him. Because Rubio was one of those because when he was trying to be the president, when they were in the primary, he was out there calling Trump what he is, a con man.
Well, so was Lindsey Graham. I mean, I will forever keep the memes on my phone where Lindsey Graham was like, if we elect Trump, he will destroy us and we'll deserve it.
Yes.
And he said that. And then
calling him a con man, too. Exactly.
He was, and he was doing it up until and including the 2017 inauguration and the days after the inauguration. We're going to be watching him. We're watching him. Then he got invited to go play golf. And he came back saying, you know what? He's not that bad, you guys. He's not that bad. Like, basically,
and how great he was, too, at golf.
Oh, my God. Yeah. Right? And I believe that ever since that day, that Lindsey Graham has been blackout drunk on, like, slow gin fizzes or whatever it is he drinks when he goes home at night and goes into one of his closets and cries on his fainting couch. He has sold his soul, and that's fine. There's no getting to Lindsey Graham, by the way. You cannot ask him questions. He doesn't seem to have anybody who works for him. If you call his office, it goes right to voicemail, and this is for a decade.
Oh, wow.
For a decade. Every so often, I call to see if anybody wants to work for Lindsey Graham, and the answer is always no. And you can leave a voicemail like you can for any member of Congress, but never will respond.
He doesn't
and you can't get an interview with Lindsey Graham because nobody's in his office to arrange an interview with Lindsey Graham. And if there was, they wouldn't get back to me anyway. No. So, and there's the frustration that we have to live with, right? Because in our pursuit of the truth, which is why we're here, it's why I write what I write and why we host the show and why I feel so grateful to be a part of the Political Voices Network, because independent media is the only place for you to go now.
Yep.
And as been proven over and over again by the mainstream media to this day, that we see people that even we respect are still rewriting Joe Biden's administration. And that they're like, oh, you know what? I never did really take the time to look at his decline. Fuck you.
I know. With this shit, like as if we weren't talking. Exactly. As if we weren't talking about how Joe Biden was losing it a little bit, how, he was aging, and all they did was attack him on his age. Now they're saying that the Democrats were hiding it. They pushed him out because of it. I mean, if they could say that if Joe Biden had that debate. Yeah, and then we all said nothing to see. Right.
Go back to what you said a few minutes ago, which was at the outset, Biden said he would only run for one term. He wanted to be a one-term president to serve in a transitional way between what Trump did to destroy the country during the pandemic, bring us back out, and then hand the reins over to his Democratic successor, which is exactly what should have happened. The problem is that I think there was the assumption that once Biden was back, I know I was naive. I don't know about you. I was very naive that when Trump walked away from the White House in January 2021, I was under the assumption that he would be prosecuted, or at least he would be embarrassed. He would be embarrassed by the lack of pomp and circumstance to show him. Like, usually when a president leaves office, there's a big ceremony and it's a great big deal and there's a ton of press coverage and he waves goodbye when he gets on the Marine One and it flies him home. That did not happen. He just left. He and Melania just left and nobody was like,
out the back
was
door.
Like, you don't have to tell us you're leaving. You can just, they slunk out the back.
They did.
Because he's a
what
petty
a scumbag. What a piece of
Why
dirt.
Garland did not pursue arrest then is beyond me, but I also believe because of his ego, he would have been so embarrassed that he would have just gone golfing for the rest of his life and tweeted from the sidelines like, look at what the Republicans are doing, if I was still in power, blah, 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 blah. And that would have been fine. That would have been fine, but he could not stand that stench of humiliation that was on him. And that's why, and he also wanted to stay out of prison.
Yeah, that's it. He ran to escape the consequences.
That's why he declared in like 2022 he was going to run again, or in late 21 he even declared
because
he
knew that he would be in jail otherwise, and he should have been, especially for January 6th, for God's sakes.
Right, all of that,
and
I have
everything else. Yeah.
And I think that because he didn't go away, because he continued to sow chaos every single day and pull focus away from Joe Biden's success, that Joe, for a little bit, was like, maybe I shouldn't be a one-term president because look at the shit that he's doing. Look at the shit that he's saying. And he's fucking with my legacy and he's fucking with my numbers and he's fucking with this. And he's fucking with that. And he keeps pulling focus. Everyone needs to know what we did here, and we have to keep this going. And maybe I need to stay. And so, I mean, Monday morning quarterbacking and what ifs and maybe that doesn't help us today, especially after we just saw Kamala coming out and dancing and being full of joy, and she's like, I told you, is basically what she did. Looking amazing, by the way. We should be enjoying her 100 historic days.
I know. It's so heartbreaking.
Here it is. We are all now being shown what could have been, right? And we already knew, those of us who knew. The question becomes now, we keep telling you what's happening, MAGA people, right? We keep showing he's tanked the economy. Today, he was talking about Christmas. Maybe your kids only get $2 now instead of 20.
How dare you?
MAGA
what
people,
a dirtbag.
Do MAGA people want to give their kids less so they can give Trump more?
Yeah.
Is that what
that 31%? Yeah, I have. Here we go for people who haven't seen it.
It's one of those things that's so frustrating.
I told you before they're having tremendous.
Yeah, he's just a dirtbag.
But I told you before they're having tremendous difficulty because their factories are not doing business. They made $1 trillion with Biden.
$1 trillion. Why don't you just pull out a gazillion of 50,000 trillion million dollars?
800 gazillion.
They just throw numbers out.
Dollars, even $1 trillion.
$1 trillion. It was worse. It was $1 trillion. It's $1 trillion.
With Biden.
With Biden. What a disgrace. How we had the economy that was the envy of the world, and then all of a sudden, he put in a goddamn booby trap so it would go off after you destroyed it? I mean, with your stupid trade war and everything else, that firing people, cutting people's lifelines, destroying this country, making our name mud throughout the world. No one will ever trust us, especially after this baboon. But anyway, here's
how hard. Remember how hard both Obama and Biden had to work to get the country's rep back after Bush.
Jesus
Christ.
Oh my God! It's and I don't blame the rest of the world for looking at us sideways. Here, wait, let's finish the quote here.
Much of it we don't need. Somebody said, the shelves are going to be open. Well, maybe the children will have $2 instead of $30, And maybe the $2 will cost a couple of bucks more than they would normally. But
how dare you?
And the dollars will cost more.
Something.
Said the guy, and he promised to lower prices and has not. He has not lowered prices.
Oh, that's the forgotten man and woman. That's how you remember the forgotten man and woman. You don't. Instead of $30, you'll get to. How dare you, dirtbag?
I mean, the man has never been in a store, so he doesn't know. You don't buy. Who gets? I mean, if he thinks the average child gets $30 for Christmas every year, then he doesn't know anything. And he's never been in a grocery store. He doesn't know what things cost. He has no idea. So what he's saying to the MAGA cult is, I lied to you again. And now your family is going to suffer for it. Your children are going to suffer. I'm fine. You guys are fucked.
Right. He's always been fine. He's never had to work for anything in his life. He has a trust fund. He was given a trust fund, and which he bankrupted it 6 times. And part of that was when he bankrupted it, he called his daddy when his daddy was still alive and said, Daddy, I need more. I need more of your money.
Was fucking stupid and gave him more.
And gave it to him. And I mean, he's just a dirtbag who's never had to work for anything. And how dare he talk about anybody having to cut back as if it doesn't matter, as if people aren't, looking at the cold arithmetic of survival and wondering how they're going to pay their rent, how they're going to pay their bills, how they're going to feed their kids, or buy gifts in the holidays or whatnot. He is so disgusting on so many levels. And every time, I can't blame a baboon for being a baboon. A bird has got to fly. Right. A fish has got to swim. Right. It's in its nature. But I do blame the people who voted for it. Because how dare you? Shame on you. And I will never forgive them, really. I don't know about you.
And we talked about this a little bit on Tuesday, but that someone had floated the idea that instead of mocking them for being wrong, we should say, well, you were lied to. You were lied to. That's not your fault. It's not your fault you were lied to. Now, on its face, that statement is true. It's not your fault. You were lied to. It is your fault that you accepted the lie as fact and lived in it and then continued to let that person lie to you. So, basically, MAGA is in an abusive relationship with Trump. Right. He's a serial abuser, a serial predator. He's a bully. And we saw that again with Terry Moran. He will try to bully someone into submission. Yeah. He will bully someone until he wears them out and he gets his way, which is 100% narcissistic personality disorder, right? And what they do, and of course, it's not his fault. That's also part of narcissistic personality disorder. It's not, he didn't do anything wrong. It's what was done to him, right? So if you take him on his... everyone should really study that interview because it's just so textbook. He says things like, why won't you just believe what I say?
Yeah, just go with it.
I think we have to always keep going back to that. That's a very P.T. Barnum, huckster, street corner, 3-card Monty sort of, that is ultimate con man language. Trust me. Hey, trust me. I've steered you wrong before. Hey, yes, you have repeatedly, constantly, always. But because that 31% is so dug in and they can't admit that they were wrong, they will still, to their own detriment, continue to hurt themselves.
They will.
And their families. You will not be struck by lightning if you say the words out loud, I was wrong.
True. But you know what it is?
Still here.
They've given up. See, here's the thing. Now, I contend that and it's not just the lies. Of course, they've been lied to. That's what a con man does. Like the fish has got to swim, right? But they saw this guy, as we all did, come down the escalator day one, calling Mexicans rapists. That in itself should have been a deal breaker for anybody who understands what this country is all about, that isn't a racist, that understands how fascists hook these their victims, their dupes, by their racist funny bones, and how that is anathema to freedom and democracy and this society that we're trying to build, right, for all. Yep. And anybody who is a patriot would have recoiled from that. So from there, shame on you. Okay, it took you this long to come to the table, but the reason they won't jettison him or get rid of him or whatever is because it is a cult, and they have already given up so much. They get their identity.
So again,
yes, they have lost friends. They know that everybody hates them. They know the world laughs at them, and they're angry. It's like the whole Left Behind book series, which is, if you go psychologically analyze it, it's really because of that. Their fear, their inner fear. It's projection of being left behind, being left behind by society, by science, by modernity, by the world keeps evolving without them. And so somebody writes a book that hooks into that psychology, that fear, and of course people, it becomes an amazing bestseller because it's the same thing with Trump. He, to them, is because they've been left behind, like when Jews will not replace us, they've been replaced. We already replaced you racist
with
pricks.
Someone who can, someone who's smart and not an asshole.
Yes, exactly.
And competent at their job.
And that's why, these maggots, they've lost friends. Maybe they lost jobs. Maybe they don't want to be canceled. That's why, forget this cancel culture.
And they can't get laid.
Yes.
So, they're full of anger and testosterone.
Yes, their whole society is built around being in this cult. And that's why, when you're talking about Joe Biden, Trump blaming Biden, that's the party of personal responsibility. They will never take responsibility unless they're trying, or they stick to that motto when they're trying to strip somebody of health care. But their other motto of being rugged individuals is another bullshit canard, because just try being an individual in the Republican Party, especially the maggot cult, and they will harass you out. You will be excluded. So there's nothing individual about them. So they are, it's like the Borg. And we have to face the fact in a way that there are 31% of the human population fall into the category of authoritarian followers. And that's why his approval rating will never fall below pretty much that 31%, because
unless they die, which they will.
Because they can't function in democracy.
Vaccinated.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
They're not vaccinated and they don't eat healthy, and so what we're gonna see, like there was a photo of like the last Chinese container ship that left, and like the ports are now empty.
Oh wow! Oh my God!
So in the next coming weeks, go back to what we saw during the pandemic. We're going to see empty shelves at our favorite stores is the warning. That's not good.
Yes.
And we're going to be standing there going, all right, well, do I eat this week or do I not?
What a dumb bastard he is,
and it's why, again, I understand the cult mentality. I understand not wanting to be wrong or not wanting to save face. You still have to eat, right? You still have to consume calories to survive. And between the disappearance of food on your shelves and the fact that they're not going to be testing our food in milk anymore, none of this is to make you healthier. So, like, I understand, like, you get messaging, but you can't live it. They're saying one thing, but you can't live it, because you can say make America healthy again, but kids are dying from measles and whooping cough. Yeah. Now whooping cough is coming back.
Right.
You can't eat anything healthy because your milk is tainted and your food is poisoned and full of feces if it's on the shelves at all.
Wow.
What's healthy and great and liberating about that? And when that fuckface is like, I delivered all my promises on day one. No, you fucking didn't. You never said we would have to only get 2 gifts for Christmas. If you had said, what if he had said that during the campaign?
I know.
Well, next Christmas there might not be a lot of things under the tree, but at least you won't have Joe Biden for president.
Yeah, your little brats will have to, skip lunch or not have $50.
You won't have Christmas. You know what? You won't have a turkey for Christmas. You won't have any presents for Christmas. You might not even have a tree, but at least a Democrat won't be in the White House.
Yeah, at least a trans person won't be able to go to the bathroom.
Oh, no. Oh, my God.
Bastards.
Yeah, no. you know what? You might die of starvation because we've cut SNAP benefits and Medicaid, and you can't get a job and there's no food. But hey, at least a black woman isn't in charge.
Yeah.
So,
right,
you know,
right.
like that's where we're at. That's the mentality. And if you don't like it, leave. What? No, that's not why we're going out in the streets again today. That is, we're marching against that. We're marching for workers' rights and human rights and all of the things that we are entitled to as American citizens. If you're going out in the streets today, awesome. I made bracelets.
That's
to
awesome.
go march today. We're going to resist and fight and fuck the patriarchy and all that stuff. But again, we have to, whatever your comfort zone is, every act of activism matters, and every democracy is an action word. And one of the things that the other side is counting on is that we're going to remain quiet and complacent, and we're not going to get anything done, which is, that's a valid take considering the messaging that we're getting from Democratic leadership.
Sure.
But you still can't deny the numbers of people who are showing up in the streets.
Yeah, people are pissed. And
Millions.
It's good to see.
Millions.
It's good
Millions.
to see.
And
it has to be that way, and more,
right,
frankly.
Right. And as J.B. Pritzker called for the other day, again, I still want to know what he means by that, though.
By what?
He's like,
when he says civil disobedience?
He was like, yes, when he's saying civil disobedience and protesting and getting out in the streets and bringing everything to a grinding halt. What does that mean? What does it look like? What is what is the action?
Let me tell you a story.
Please,
boys and girls. And everyone else in between. I was I'm a freelancer and I work in TV mostly. And I was working for a company, I won't say which, but there were a lot of freelancers in this company, and they also have staff. And that's how they get around a lot of laws nowadays. They make, they do things. They don't really hire people. They hire contractors, blah, blah, blah. We know. And working people are always getting screwed. Well, one day, we all came in and they called the staff people into a room and they said, "You're all fired." And then they said, "Well, good news, you're all hired again as freelancers." Okay, so some of these people had been there for like 20 years. They had vacations planned, all this stuff. And they handed them packages. They said, "This is not negotiable. This is your rate. You don't like it, lump it and go." And people were crying. It was just a horrible day. And I told my friend who is from France that what had happened, and it was very upsetting to me, of course. And I remember being in the bathroom, and one of the managers walked in, and I was like upset, and she's like, "What's the matter?" And I said, "Well, look, everything that's going on is terrible." And she said, "What do you care? It's not happening to you." Right? That's the attitude, right?
Oh my God.
And I'm like, well, it's happening. And so my friend said, if that happened in France, you know what would happen? Everyone would walk out into the street. They would start protesting. Then the truck drivers would hear about it. They would stop their trucks in the street, and it would just ripple out. Where people and they wouldn't be able to get away with it, and that's what happens in France. They have general strikes. They sit down. They're like, because they get it. They understand.
Right.
What we're up against.
There.
I hope so. I hope so.
I think so. I mean, this movement to get people in the streets regularly is not going anywhere, and it's just growing. Is what's happening, and there will come a point where it can't be ignored. What I would love to see, and I'm surprised it hasn't happened already, why there's not an Occupy White House going on.
Right.
Because Occupy was actually a really effective way to protest, a sit-in. Really effective. If you're making it difficult for people to get to work, or you're making it obvious that you are unhappy, you need to go to the source. I don't know however close people are allowed to get to the White House these days, get there. Get there, bring your noisemakers, bring great. There needs to be a real sit-in at the White. There should be, if there was teleportation. Just pop in, pop out. That's one of the few things I wish we did have is teleportation. That'd be great.
But that would be great outside. The White House with the horns and noisemakers.
Correct. If nothing else, whenever the elderly golfer, as Jeff Tiedrick calls him, the elderly golfer heads to Mar-a-Lago. I don't know why people don't get there get as close as you're legally allowed to get to that golf course, and then just make a lot of noise, because the only thing he cares about is his golf game.
Yeah.
Seriously. So like imagine
That's
him
it.
out there on the tee, and he's ready, and then someone goes with an air horn, and he's like,
yes,
and like just startles
That's what has to
him.
happen.
Isn't that glorious.
That would be amazing.
If I could, I would. If I could, if I had the means, if I was, I don't know, independently financed or something,
yes.
I would travel across this great land of ours and teach people how to do
that'd
resistance.
be
I would.
And before
I
we
would.
go on, I just want to say, speaking of independently financed, thank you, Rose Blue, for your 3 super chats here.
Woo! Woohoo!
Yes.
Woo-hoo!
And Rose writes, remember to text stop to opt out of receiving secret war plans. And mine is AWOL
good.
Dr. Ronnie Jackson. Lord help 125 Texas counties. Yes.
Garbage workers know how to strike. Awesome.
Yes.
Awesome.
Thank you, Rose.
Thank you so much. Thank you for supporting the Political Voices Network. By the way, we had our Not the White House Correspondents' Dinner did very, very, very well.
Awesome.
The pushback against what I don't even know what they did at the regular White House Correspondents' Dinner. I saw like no coverage.
Such
about
a
it
non-event.
whatsoever.
Yep.
I don't know what happened, what was said, who showed up, what's happening. I do know that there's like 3 people left who get to go to the White House briefings now, and it's like DC Drano and Peter Doocy. Although there was a real somebody asked a real question the other day, and she went off or something on a.
Really? Oh, what was
I can't keep up with Caroline and her life. Something about the tariffs. I don't know.
Oh,
But
she's a moron.
This is why our voices need to be amplified even more. Why we need a Democratic press secretary, and why one of the things we would like to do here for Political Voices Network is, and it's in the early talking stages, but have a real Political Voices Network tour.
That'd be great.
And take our voices physically to the people, to the red states, and get out there and have those conversations, and have the opportunity to get. I know I say this all the time, but nobody seems to believe me. I would love to talk to a Republican. I would love to.
You would. I don't know about me. I have anger issues, but you could do it.
I have anger issues too, but and my anger issues are steeped in the fact that they won't answer my questions. I'm just frustrated. Like I have questions that I think are valid, and I just want to know why. If I can, I don't know if I've said this on this show.
That's it. That's a good
question.
question.
If I can understand why someone does something, why do you behave this way? Why do you believe this? It doesn't mean I'm going to change my mind, and it doesn't mean you're going to convince me that I'm not correct.
Right.
If I can understand where you're coming from, at least I can go, oh, okay.
But you're expecting honesty, and I don't think you'd get it unless they really were working on themselves in therapy and could look at themselves and be like, "I'm doing this because
I don't think
like
a lot
power.
of
I'm a racist." Yeah, I don't know. Well,
yeah, self-reflection's not really one of their strong suits.
No, it's not.
But and honestly,
so
every
fucked up.
time. And every time I ask a question, they take the Trump tactic of attacking the questioner instead of addressing the issue, which is what he did to Terry Moran.
That's all they do.
Trump. And someone I saw it really quickly in the chat. Somebody said that Trump only agreed to sit down with Terry Moran because he said he had not heard of him before.
Right.
During the interview, he's like, this is a very big deal for you, Terry. I chose you. This is a big break for you. Because Terry Moran didn't have a whole career before you didn't. You never heard of him because you're an ingrate.
Yeah, get me Terry Moran. I've never heard of him. Get me Terry Moran.
He probably thought Terry Moran was a woman.
Maybe.
Oh, Terry Moran! I hear she's great.
She's hot.
Maybe I guarantee he thought Terry Moran was a woman
Probably
because he thinks he can bully women. And then Terry Moran shows up. He's like, "Oh, I thought Terry Moran." Well, I am Terry Moran. Oh no, a white dude?
Yes.
No, I didn't. That's not what I thought. I had, during the campaign, I did contact the Trump campaign to try to get an interview, and strangely, they never responded. I don't know why.
Wow. I'm surprised.
Crazy, right? Hal also tried to get a press pass to get into the press room and never heard back, which is why we need a Democratic press secretary.
Never heard
Democratic
back.
press secretary. Now, I know, shocking, right? There's and that's a weird way for such an innocent and transparent administration to behave.
And Tim Pool, well, if Hal was a Russian asset, Yeah.
I told Hal that he needs to create like a foxy persona, and then try
like a Stephen Colbert, right? Look from the old Colbert Report, right?
I loved the Colbert
That was
Report,
great.
and I loved it. I loved it when people didn't get it. When
Yes.
they didn't get that he was playing a character
real.
and they couldn't, and he did it so well. And I got to be in the audience once of the old Colbert Report, that was great. And then I also got to be in the Late Show audience, and both times I got to ask him questions because he does pre-show questions. So that was great. And he's such a right, and he like that's who you want representing your country. He's like a good, affable guy who just wants everyone to get along. Just like Pete Buttigieg. Pete Buttigieg went on that Dude Bro podcast and was like, hey, I want you to get up every day and go to work and feed your family and come home and do well, and that's what we want. That's what Democrats want.
That's what we want.
And they're like, really? And I don't know why that. Jesus, is it really only 5 minutes left?
Yeah.
It's the fastest hour of podcasting on the internet. So. I think it is too. And before we go, as we're winding, sign up for Devlin Substack. Sign up for my Substack. Don't forget about my book, The Sound of Settling, a rock and roll love story.
And someone said in the chat that they had your book and that it was great.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm trying very hard to get a proper publishing deal. But, that reminds me of the story that I brought up the other day at the end of the show that, there's going to be a new publisher for just men. For just men that had such a hard time. White guys have a hard time. Historically, white men are having a hard time. It's a rough time to be a white man.
If we can only hear their point of view. Right?
They don't get ahead. They never get the last word. They don't get all kinds of things that other people can't get. They don't have any sort of special circumstances or treatment. Boo-hoo. So I'll take a moment. Let's pour one out for the white men.
Yeah.
Nope.
I'm trying to look for the person who said that about your book. I can't find. I wanted to give proper accolades, but I can't.
Thank you.
Post it again if you're still here.
Thank you. It's just supporting each other now matters more than ever. And again, as I said on the last time we were together, it doesn't cost you anything to share the link to my book with your friends. If you're on a social media somewhere. So. Right, and so I'm on. We're both on Blue Sky. We're both still on Twitter. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Insta. I was thinking that when I go out into the streets today, that maybe I should do an Instagram live because I need more Instagram.
Yeah,
followers.
That's a good idea. Just open. Yeah, if you have a good signal. Yes,
definitely. I hope so. It's Tara Dublin Rocks #1. Tara Dublin Rocks 1 on Instagram because my original Tara Dublin Rocks Instagram I got suspended.
No way. For what?
A few years ago. Oh, well, because
someone reported you
on. No, well, yes, but here's what happened: is I was getting harassed. I was getting cyber harassed by MAGA people, and they would send me terrible, gross pictures, and then I would post those pictures, and I would put black bars across the pictures, and I would say this person is harassing me, and then somebody would report me for harassment. So that's how I lost my Instagram.
Well, that's how they do it. Yeah, that's what they do.
I know, and I lost 8 years of photos, like photos of my kids when they were little and all kinds of fun stuff, and gone.
Holy
gone
moly.
Forever. Can't get it back. I know. And I tried to appeal to Instagram. I'm like, hey,
no,
I'm a public person.
They don't care.
They don't care. And so anyway, I'm Tara Dublin Rocks 1 on Instagram. So if you do Instagram, please follow me there, and I will follow you back. And Blue Sky and Twitter. And yes, because that's how you build community.
I don't know.
And
you're better at that.
I want to share what we're doing here. And we have a beautiful sunny day here in Portland, so it'll make for some great videos. In Portland, their sign game is always on point while we're out in the streets. There's always something clever and interesting. But, and again, if you're not a person who wants... Right, they hate
It's so
our
true. That's
unity.
why they're only like Trump 2024 or now Trump 2028. That they're like they got nothing. They got nothing.
With that. Nothing. They have nothing but
it's so boring.
Nothing but culting. And you might say we're not as unified as we should be, and I won't argue with you, but I will say that when I am out in the streets with tens of thousands of people, like Portland shows up, and I'm there with 10,000 people. I'm not asking any questions. We're all there united against the same common enemy. So, and there are people who maybe never voted or voted for the first time, or they're they're former MAGA, or they're just Republicans who are mad. I honestly don't. If you're showing up for the right reasons, then we want you. Then we want you. All right, my friend. We are heading into a weekend. Do your activism, but also do your self-care. Make sure you're taking breaks when you need. Devlin is here. I'm here. Are you doing your show tomorrow night?
Yes, I am.
All right, awesome.
Yeah,
join Devlin
find
tomorrow
it on
night.
YouTube.
Make sure.
Go ahead.
Make sure you're following everybody in the Political Voices Network Spectrum. We're going to be bringing you more cool stuff. So make sure you're signed up, and just take care of yourselves and take care of each other, because that's the best of what Democrats do. What's happening?
Somebody said, I'm a white man. I'm an avid viewer until now. My life is not easy, and you are trying to make it harder, regardless of what other white men may have done.
That's right. That's right. We're trying to make it harder, because it's always...
How are we making it harder?
Not all men. Not all white men.
We're just pointing out that, white men had a lot of... people, greasing the wheels of their success, and women have been systematically oppressed and not allowed to have a voice.
True that, especially black women. But just remember, white fellas, your white male privilege does not extend as far as you think it does.
Is what it is. We're just pointing out the truth.
That's what it is.
I could say that I had it better because I have white pigment, and that is the damn truth. Even though So, everybody has a different American experience.
I have never been followed in a store because someone thought I was shoplifting, but I have watched people follow black people.
Yes, and then when I get pulled over, I don't feel like I'm going to get murdered. I've actually gotten out of tickets by, begging and pleading and things like that. And being white, being a white girl. Yeah, so it is what it is.
And I know we're a little over, but this is an interesting thing that happens to me because I'm Jewish. Now, I'm not religious. I mean, Judaism is one of those interesting things where it's like it's your heritage and it's your religion.
Right.
It's a dessert topping and a floor wax. Judaism is my heritage, right? I'm 100% Ashkenazi Jewish, both sides, all the way back. That's that. I have been told that I am not white because I am Jewish, because I'm Semitic. And that's crap, because if you passed me on the street and you didn't know me, you would check me as a little white lady, because I am. And so what I have learned in my conversations and my relationships with black women, because I have them, that I have enjoyed white privilege my entire life without understanding how much I have been enjoying my white privilege. And so for the last few years, I have been aware of that. I have been aware that my white privilege allows me to be in spaces, allows me to not be challenged a lot of the time, to get away with things that other people can't get away with just because I look like this. And so I make sure that plays into my advocacy. Because if people are going to give me a pass for whatever their reasons are, I'm going to make sure if I have your attention, that I'm going to use it in the right way. So I'm going to say, in this moment, make sure you are advocating for black women. You're advocating for trans people. You're advocating for people who are not born into the community you were born into. That is that's how I use my privilege, is to be an advocate for others. And if I'm not doing that, then I don't feel good about myself, because it's just like, I just feel like it's our responsibility as humans to do that, to be advocates for the communities we weren't born into to the best of our abilities. You have to be learning, and the best way to learn is to listen. And if someone says, hey, you're overstepping, instead of digging in and saying, no, I'm not, you say, I'm so sorry, I was not aware. Please, thank you. Because in I have done this. I think a lot of other white women have been guilty in our efforts to let black women know we're their ally, that sometimes we stumble. I'm one of the good ones. They know that, okay? That you don't have to tell them. You do not have to tell a black woman that you're her advocate if you do it right. All you have to do is make eye contact and smile. Literally all you have to do. So you just learn. You learn by listening and fucking up. And I'm okay with making mistakes, because I always learn from my mistakes, and I'm the first person to admit it when I fuck up. If I fucked up yesterday on Twitter, I got a fact wrong, so I deleted it.
So you correct it.
And I said I deleted this because this reason. And then people can't beef with you, right? Like, what? I made a mistake. Oh no,
right? You own up to it. You're learning, right?
And I didn't get smited because I made a mistake. And I wish MAGA would learn that too, because it's okay to be wrong. It's not okay to help somebody to contribute to mass murder.
No, and the thing is, this is why they're going after DEI, which is, of course, it's another way that they keep us divided, because we have to have, because this is a multiracial liberal democracy. They hate that. And the general welfare means that we all have different American experiences, and they're all valid. Not everybody's like, yoo-hoo, I'm a white cowboy, and everything's wonderful, and I made the Western civilization. That this is the story they tell themselves.
Yeah. But we are a melting pot.
Yes.
We are the great American melting pot, and we're all supposed to be one great big body together, and we're supposed to let each other live, and that's what America, and that's not what we're seeing, and that's why we are going out in the streets today. In fact, as soon as we're done, I'm putting my shoes on.
And I'm
all
right. You gotta run.
Everybody,
let's do it.
Support each other, support our network. We will be back with you on Tuesday, same tower time, same tower channel, and just take care of each other and yourselves as you're out there this weekend.
See you soon.